Tonight feels quieter than usual, and yet your screen is loud with a question. Why did this title find you now? Of all days, why does it feel like a hand on your shoulder, a soft nudge saying, keep watching? You have carried so much. You have been strong for so long. But why is it that even the strong still feel alone when the room goes dark and the world gets still? And why is it that everything can change when God sends the right person through the right door at the right time? Here is the truth I want you to hold in your chest, like warm light. Your God-given soulmate is drawing near, not a fantasy, not a passing spark. A real person set in motion by a real God who writes real stories. They are not coming only to pull you out of a spiral at 2 a.m. They are coming to help you build a life that breathes, a life with order, a life with honor, a life that can handle abundance without losing its soul. This is not about chasing flash. It is about stepping into a season where peace and provision stand side by side, and your purpose finally has room to run. If you have ever wondered why the right relationship can open doors you could not pry open alone, this video will show you. We are going to walk through true stories in Scripture where God paired two lives and changed the future. We will sit with Ruth under a hard sun and watch Boaz notice her faithfulness. We will meet Rebekah at the well and learn how prayer created a clear sign in a noisy world. We will watch Abigail's wisdom stop a disaster and protect a destiny. We will step into the palace with Esther and see what luxury looks like when it exists for a holy purpose. Each story is proof that when the right person arrives in the right season, heaven does not only heal the heart, it also arranges protection, resources, and a path toward lasting prosperity. You may be thinking this sounds too good for your life right now. Your history is messy. Your bank account feels tired. Your trust is thin. That is exactly why God loves beginnings like this. He takes ordinary details and stitches them into timing you could not design. He uses character, discipline, and prayer to set up meetings that look random but are full of design. He turns rough edges into foundation stones. He turns lessons into leverage. And when your person shows up, they do not pull you into chaos. They pull you into clarity. So lean in. In the next moments, I want to give you more than comfort. I want to give you a map. We will pull out principles that the Bible repeats, and we will translate them into steps you can live today. We will talk about work that is honest, giving that is generous, boundaries that are clean. We will name the modern habits that drain your spirit and block your blessings, and we will replace them with counsel that has stood strong for centuries. You will see how a love sent by God becomes a shelter, a strategy, and a spring that does not run dry. If your heart is stirring right now, that is not an accident. Take a breath. You are not behind. You are being prepared. Like the first light before sunrise, the answer is already moving your way. And when it arrives, it will not only steady your emotions, it will help you build a house of peace, a rhythm of work that bears fruit, and a generous life that feels like true luxury, because it serves a purpose bigger than you. If this speaks to you, tap like to start a wave of agreement, and subscribe to join thousands of chosen one souls who believe God still writes better stories than we do. And if your spirit is saying yes, drop 777 inches the comments as a simple prayer. Right here, in this space, your faith joins with many, and the echo of that faith can move what felt immovable. Let's set the frame before the stories sweep you up. You are not an accident in a noisy world. You are seen, known, and sent. Scripture says God knows the plans He has for you, plans for peace and hope, plans with a future built in. This is not vague comfort. It is a real promise from a real Father who writes with purpose. When we say, chosen one, we are not talking about superiority. We are talking about assignment. You are chosen to carry light, to build a home of wisdom, to practice justice and mercy, and to steward resources in a way that heals the ground you walk on. Here is the core connection most people miss. Grace and character are not rivals, and prosperity is not the enemy of holiness. In the Bible, wealth is never a trophy for ego. It is a trust for service. God pours out provision where He finds faithful stewardship, compassion for the poor, honest scales, and willing generosity. Honor the Lord with what you have, and your barns find rhythm. Give, and it will be given to you. Pressed down, running over. Seek first the kingdom and His righteousness, and the rest lines up. These are not slogans. They are guardrails that keep abundance clean. That means we need to correct a few modern myths. God is not promising a scratch-off ticket or an overnight windfall. He is inviting you into a process that changes how you think, speak, work, save, and give. He often uses marriage not as a shortcut, but as a covenant workshop. In a God-ordered union, two callings interlock. Coverage replaces chaos. Networks multiply. Skills complement each other. Doors open that merit alone could not open. Not backroom shortcuts, but lawful, ethical opportunities where diligence meets favor. The soulmate God sends is not a lottery win. They are a partner in purpose, a second set of eyes, a voice of wisdom, a safe place for truth, and a steady hand on shared assignments. So what does a life of luxury mean in God's vocabulary? It looks like a quiet heart. It looks like honor in how you make money and how you spend it. It looks like a home where peace is thick and the table is warm. It looks like stable work, fair pay, and skills that compound. It looks like surplus made available for good works, not a stage for vanity. Luxury here is not about screaming for attention. It is about margin that lets you be generous on every occasion, about time to rest without guilt, about resources that extend justice and mercy in practical ways. This is where grace meets practice. You keep your hands clean in business. You tell the truth in contracts. You pay what you owe. You lift those who cannot repay you. You handle personal finance with clarity. You build an emergency fund. You raise your credit score by living honestly. You aim for debt-free living, not to flex, but to be free for your calling. You explore passive income only when it is ethical, transparent, and truly adds value. You step into wealth management, not as a game of greed, but as an act of stewardship, to preserve what feeds your family, funds your mission, and blesses those in need. The covenant rhythm looks like this. God gives grace. You respond with character. God entrusts more. You respond with humility and structure. God widens your circle. You guard your heart and your motives. God introduces the right person in the right season. Together you build. Together you give. Together you protect what is holy. Together you refuse shortcuts. Together you carry a name that is worth more than gold because it is tied to integrity. This is why the scripture keeps tying prosperity to righteousness, to wise planning, to generous hands, to clean motives, and to orderly homes. And the soul of it is simple. What does the Lord require of you? Do justice, love mercy, walk humbly with your God. From that soil, real prosperity grows. Not the kind that flames out, but the kind that lasts through cycles and storms. In the segments ahead, when we step into the fields of Bethlehem with Ruth, kneel at the well with Rebekah, ride out to meet David with Abigail, and stand in the palace with Esther, you will see this frame hold. You will watch how covenant love becomes a shelter, how disciplined choices attract favor, how generosity draws supply, and how a house built on God's wisdom can carry both peace and plenty without losing its soul. There was a famine in Judah, and a small family from Bethlehem packed up their hunger and went east to Moab. Elimelech, his wife Naomi, and their 2 sons were hoping for bread. Instead, sorrow found them. Elimelech died. The sons married Moabite women, one named Orpah and one named Ruth. Then the sons died too. 3 widows looked at each other with the ache of empty chairs and empty futures. When word reached them that the Lord had visited his people and given bread back to Bethlehem, Naomi decided to return. She urged her daughters-in-law to stay in Moab and start over. Orpah kissed her and stayed. Ruth clung to her and spoke a covenant that still echoes through time. Where you go, I will go. Where you stay, I will stay. Your people will be my people, and your God, my God. It was loyalty forged in grief, and faith born in a foreign heart. 2 women, one older and bitter with loss, one younger and brave with hope, crossed dusty miles back to Bethlehem at the start of the barley harvest. They arrived with nothing, no savings, no land, no man to protect them in a world built around clans and fields and gates. But the law of God had already made room for women like them. In Israel, landowners were commanded to leave the edges of their fields and the fallen grain for the poor, the widow, and the foreigner. It was practical mercy written into the economy, a social safety net tied to both dignity and hard work. So Ruth rose early, asked permission, and began to glean. She followed behind the reapers, picking up whatever the scythes and the hands left behind. She worked steadily under a hard sun. She kept her head clear and her reputation clean. She honored Naomi at home and honored God in the field. She was not scheming, she was simply faithful. As Providence would have it, the field where Ruth happened to glean belonged to a man named Boaz. He was not just wealthy, he was honorable. He greeted his workers with the Lord's name on his lips. He noticed Ruth not for her makeup or a staged moment, but for her story and her diligence. "Whose young woman is this?" he asked. When he learned she was the Moabite who had come back with Naomi, and how she had worked from morning till now with only a short rest, he spoke directly to her with kindness. "Do not go to another field. Stay close to my young women. I have charged the men not to touch you. And when you are thirsty, drink from the jars the young men have filled." Then, quietly, he told his reapers to drop extra sheaves on purpose so she would gather with ease. That is what real strength looks like. Not a performance, but protection. Not a boast, but provision. He used his authority to create safety, and his abundance to create margin for a vulnerable woman who refused to quit. Ruth carried home an armful of grain that would shock any neighbor. Naomi's eyes widened, and a blessing rose in her. "Where did you glean today? In whose field did you work?" Ruth said. The man's name was Boaz. Naomi's face softened in a way grief had not allowed in a long time. "May he be blessed by the Lord, whose kindness has not forsaken the living or the dead." Then she explained a law Ruth did not yet know. Boaz was a close relative, a near kinsman. In their world, God had woven a rescue clause into family life. If a man died without children, a close relative could redeem the property and, by marriage, raise up a name for the deceased. This kinsman redeemer protected land from being lost forever. preserved a family line, and shielded widows from being swallowed by poverty. It was law and love braided together, justice with a face, policy with a heart. And in a larger story, that same idea of a redeemer pointed forward to the one who would buy us back, not with silver or barley, but with his own life. Naomi, seasoned by hardship but awakened by hope, gave Ruth careful counsel. Wash, anoint yourself, put on your best garment. Wait until the threshing is finished. Do not interrupt the work. After Boaz has eaten and drunk and his heart is merry, lie down at his feet, and he will tell you what to do. This was not a sneaky plot. It followed local custom, a respectful way for a widow, under family covenant, to signal her request for redemption. It carried risk, which is why character mattered so much. Ruth obeyed exactly. She moved with quiet, with prudence, with dignity. At midnight, when Boaz stirred and found a woman at his feet, he did not exploit the moment. He asked who she was. She answered plainly, "I am Ruth, your servant. Spread your wing over me, for you are a redeemer." Boaz blessed her for not chasing younger men and for choosing covenant over thrill. Then he insisted on handling everything in the light. There was another relative closer than he. If that man would redeem, so be it. If not, Boaz would redeem. Either way, the matter would be settled properly, with witnesses. He protected her through the night without crossing a line, sent her home before dawn to protect her reputation, and placed generous grain in her shawl so no one would misread the night. That is what integrity looks like under pressure. At the city gate, where transactions were made, Boaz gathered the elders and called the nearer kinsman to sit. He laid out the facts. "Naomi is selling the portion of land that belonged to our relative. Will you redeem it?" At first, the man said yes. Land looked attractive. Then Boaz added the full picture. "On the day you buy the field, you also acquire Ruth the Moabite, the widow, to raise up the name of the dead on his inheritance." That meant cost, care, and complexity. It meant love, not just land. The man stepped back. "I cannot redeem it for myself, lest I impair my own inheritance." So the right and the duty passed to Boaz. The elders witnessed the exchange with the simple symbol of a sandal removed, and they blessed the union. "May the Lord make the woman who is coming into your house like Rachel and Leah. May your house be famous in Bethlehem." It was order, honor, legality, and community, all working together. Boaz took Ruth as his wife. The Lord gave conception, and she bore a son. The women said to Naomi that the Lord had not left her without a redeemer that day. They named the child Obed. Obed became the father of Jesse, and Jesse the father of David. From a field of gleaning and a night of careful conversation, to a gate of witnesses and a family line that would carry royal blood, the story arcs into purpose. In time, that line would lead to the one greater than David, who would redeem not one widow and one field, but the whole world. Sit with what this means for us now. Ruth did not plot her way into wealth. She worked faithfully in the place where God's law made room for her. She honored her mother-in-law. She honored the boundaries of the field. She honored her own purity. She honored the process at the gate. She honored the God of Israel with quiet, steady trust. That posture drew real protection and real provision. Boaz did not love with sentiment alone. He loved with structure. He followed the law. He used his voice in the gate. He brought witnesses. He covered Ruth's name and Naomi's future. Their union did not produce chaos. It produced safety, land, lineage, and a name that carried weight. Now translate that into today's decisions. There are fields with your name on them. Not every field, not every opportunity, but the right one under God's order. Your job is to show up early, ask permission, work hard, keep your word, protect your reputation, and bring the harvest home to bless your family. That is stewardship. That is the beginning of wealth management that actually lasts. It is not flashy, it is faithful. It looks like honest contracts, clean accounting, fair wages paid and received. It looks like personal finance handled with clarity instead of denial. It looks like paying down debt as a way to protect your future name, not just your credit score. It looks like saving a portion, giving a portion, and living within truth-shaped limits, so your house stands when storms come. It looks like home building in the deepest sense, where the atmosphere is safe, the routines are steady, and generosity is a family language. The kinsman-redeemer principle also speaks into relationships. The right partner does not make you break rules. They help you keep them. They do not rush you into shadows. They bring the conversation to the gate, in daylight, with wise counsel and accountability. They honor process and timing. They guard your dignity in public and in private. They do not subtract from your calling. They multiply it. If you are in a season of waiting, do what Ruth did. Work with humility. Serve your family. Keep your life clean. Stay in the field where God placed you, rather than chasing every sparkle. Trust that God can direct the eyes of the right person at the right time. When covering arrives, you will not have to violate your peace to keep it. Notice how provision grew in this story. It started with leftover grain and ended with titled land, a marriage, and the seed of a dynasty. That is how God often moves. Today's handful is not an insult. It is training. It is proof that your hands can be trusted. If you handle leftovers with gratitude and discipline, you are preparing for ownership. If you treat small paychecks with integrity, you are rehearsing for larger trust. If you honor the elders at the gate, you are building a name that opens doors you cannot open by yourself. That is prosperity with a spine. And see the wider mercy. Ruth was a foreigner, far from her birthland and the gods she once knew. Yet the God of Israel folded her into his people, gave her a husband of honor, secured her future, and wrote her name into the family tree of kings. This is what redeeming love does. It does not merely patch holes. It restores dignity. It binds the future to hope. It turns the faithful gleaner into a matriarch. It turns a bitter heart back into a singing one. When the right person, in the right season, under the right covering, steps into your story, the shift is not only emotional, it is structural. It touches your safety, your assets, your reputation, and your purpose. If you are hearing this and wondering how to begin, start simple and start today. Show up to your field, even if it is humble. Do the next honest task. Speak with respect. Keep your promises. Guard your evenings. Bring your earnings home and budget with prayer. Serve the people God has given you to love. Pray for a Redeemer's covering over your life and over the life of the person you will marry. Ask God to weave your diligence and their integrity into a house of peace. Trust Him with timing. He knows the plans He has for you. And when the plan unfolds, it will not feel like a trick. It will feel like coming home from a long journey. Arms full, table set, future steady. The story opens with a man on a mission and dust on his sandals. Abraham, now old and blessed in all things, refuses to let his son Isaac marry on impulse or convenience. He calls his most trusted servant and binds the search to an oath. Do not take a wife for my son from the daughters of Canaan. Go to my country, to my kindred, and take a wife for my son Isaac. It is not romance first. It is obedience first. It is not a shortcut. It is a pilgrimage, because covenant deserves a journey. The servant loads 10 camels with gifts and hope and takes the long road north to Aram Naharaim. When he reaches the outskirts of the city of Nahor, he does not rush the next step. He stops at the well outside the town at evening, the hour when women come to draw water. And there, in the gold light of a closing day, he does the wisest thing a human can do before making a life decision. He prays, "O Lord, God of my master Abraham, please grant me success today and show steadfast love to my master. Let the young woman to whom I shall say, 'Please let down your jar that I may drink,' and who answers, 'Drink, and I will water your camels also. Let her be the one you have appointed for your servant Isaac." Notice the prayer. It is not vague. It is specific. It asks for a sign that reveals character, not just a face that pleases the eye. Watering a string of thirsty camels is not cute. It is heavy work. The sign he requests is a window into diligence, generosity, and initiative. Before he finishes the prayer, Rebekah arrives. She is described with a quiet dignity, carrying a jar on her shoulder, going down to the spring, filling it, and coming up. The servant runs to meet her. "Please, let me sip a little water from your jar." She answers without delay, "Drink, my lord." Then she adds what he dared to ask of God. She hurries to water the camels until they finish drinking. She draws again and again, without complaint, without theatrics. Hospitality is not something she puts on for the scene. It is who she is when no one is watching but God and a stranger. The servant watches in silence, weighing her words and her work, because true discernment pays attention to small things done faithfully. When the camels are satisfied, the servant brings out a ring and bracelets and asks about her family. She is kin to Abraham. There is straw and fodder and room to lodge. The prayer has been answered at every level: virtue, lineage, logistics. The servant bows his head and worships on the spot. "Blessed be the Lord, the God of my master Abraham, who has not forsaken his steadfast love and faithfulness." He then follows Rebekah home, gives an honest account of his vow and prayer to her household, and sets a table where consent, counsel, and clarity can speak. Laban and Bethuel hear the story and answer simply, "The matter comes from the Lord. Take her and go." Rebekah is asked if she will go with the man. She says, yes, of her own will. It is not coercion. It is calling. Before dawn, they rise. Rebekah's family blesses her. "Our sister, may you become thousands of 10,000s, and may your offspring possess the gate of those who hate him." She rides south with her maids, the servant leading the camels back toward the Negev. The scene shifts. Isaac is out in the field toward evening, meditating. He lifts his eyes and sees the camels coming. Rebekah lifts her eyes and sees Isaac. She asks who he is. The servant answers, "It is my master." She takes her veil, a gesture of modesty and honor. The servant recounts all he has done. Isaac brings Rebekah into his mother Sarah's tent, and she becomes his wife. He loves her, and he is comforted after his mother's death. Two lives meet under prayer, under blessing, under order, and what begins is not noise but peace. This story offers a blueprint that modern hearts need. First, seek God before you seek a person. The servant did not shop. He prayed for a sign that revealed character in the mundane. When you ask for clarity, Ask for cues that are hard to fake. Look for hospitality, initiative, and stamina. Watch how they treat strangers, elders, and those who can do nothing for them. See if their yes is steady when no one is clapping. Second, honor process. There is family counsel, transparent gifts, stated intentions, and room for the woman's voice. Healthy love does not survive by avoiding light. It grows stronger when motives are brought to the table and decisions are made with witnesses and wisdom. There is also a lesson in intergenerational stewardship. Abraham was blessed in all things, and yet he did not let blessing drift. He put structure around it. He chose a God-honoring spouse for his son's future. He built a bridge for the promise to cross into the next generation. Isaac receives not only assets but a pattern: prayer at dusk, work at dawn, order in the home. This is estate planning of the highest order. Wealth that stays clean travels inside a framework of worship and wisdom. The modern translation is simple. If you want your family legacy to endure, put spiritual discipline around your resources and relational discipline around your choices. Practical steps grow from this. When choosing a spouse, seek the quiet proofs. Do they practice hospitality without being asked? Do they serve without bargaining for applause? Do they keep their word in small commitments, the ones that do not trend on a timeline? Do your prayers, when you compare notes later, carry the same peace? God is not a God of confusion, but of order. The counsel you receive in prayer will not require you to betray your convictions to make it work. It will not force you into secrecy or hurry you into compromises you cannot name before God. It will draw you into patience, clarity, and mutual respect. From there, build a home where prosperity is the fruit of integrity. Begin with personal finance that tells the truth. Track what comes in and what goes out. Save first, even if the amount feels small. Avoid debt that is impulsive or image-driven. Guard your credit score by guarding your character. If you borrow with a plan and a horizon. If you invest, practice long-term investing that you actually understand. Choose simplicity over hype. Wealth management here is not about winning a game. It is about nourishing a mission. Protect your home with wise insurance, an emergency fund, and habits that lower risk. Practice generosity on purpose, not as a leftover but as a first response, because giving keeps money from becoming your master. Let the marriage you hope for reflect the wells seen. Greet each day with prayer before you draw water. Share the load. Take the extra trips without complaint when love asks for them. Enter decisions with transparency. Seek counsel when stakes are high. Let your no be honest, your yes be steady, and your timeline be guided by peace, not pressure. Make room for family blessing without letting family control. Honor your elders while owning your vows. Keep your work honest, your speech clean, and your table open. Hospitality is a wealth engine God trusts. It multiplies relationships, earns trust, and brings favor to the gate. And do not miss Isaac's posture. He was not scrolling the horizon in panic. He was meditating in the field at evening. He worked his day and he prayed his dusk. That rhythm creates a heart that can recognize the right person without grasping. It is hard to hear God when you are clutching the future. Open your hands, do your work. Pray specific prayers for signs that reveal the heart. Ask for a partner whose reflex is service. Ask to become that person yourself. The sign you pray for in them, ask God to grow in you. If you live this way, your family wealth will not be loud and brittle. It will be quiet and strong. Your home will not be a showroom. It will be a refuge. Your accounts will not be altars. They will be tools. Your planning will not strangle generosity. It will amplify it. Justice and mercy will not be slogans. They will show up as fair pay, honest contracts, prompt invoices, and open doors for those with less. And when your children ask how the blessing held, you will be able to point them to a well at evening and a prayer that asked God for a sign you could carry into a lifetime.